There are lots and lots of questions that have been swirling about Jeffrey Epstein for a long time, for over 10 years, and the government's involvement in it. If there's anybody who could walk in and say, okay, we've resolved all of the questions and there is nothing here, it would be President Trump and his crew. The problem is you can't really do it without giving some explanation, and there has to be some explanation, and I think that's why you have a lot of people still pretty with a lot of very valid questions about it.
You absolutely nailed it. You can defuse this ticking time bomb if you simply get out there, sit down, the AG, get the deputy director, and get the director himself. Put them in front of cameras, have them make a statement, and have them answer questions. We're only talking about 5 or 10 questions. But what this will do is, first of all, restores confidence. Number 2, it answers some of the basics, especially the simple things like, you can't tell me that 1,000 people were hurt and that there are no people out there that we can arrest. You can't tell me that, oh, sorry, we don't have a list. Fine, don't have a list. Tell me who the perpetrators were. Let's depose every single person who might have had a chance to get on that list and might have been out there at that island, and let's talk to them. Let's find out what happened. You're telling me other videos out there in New Mexico and at the island and in New York, and nobody saw anything? I don't buy it, and that's why they need to get out there and face the fire. Doesn't have to be long. But you have to answer questions to the American people, because absent that, the story won't die, and that's a distraction the president doesn't want.
Of course, and in that True Social that he put out, he talked about all his accomplishments.
Yeah.
And he's saying, why let's not let this overcome. And I think he doesn't want that. I think his supporters don't want that. And I think that's why they want just some simple answers.
Yeah. And of course, he's right about that. I mean,
there's no question.
None of this mars any of the extraordinary accomplishments, and we want to keep going.
That's right.
All right.
So those are visibly panicking MAGA Fox News hosts who are really upset about the backlash that Trump is receiving, and quite frankly, his disastrous mishandling of the Epstein debacle. They are panicking in real time. Please, 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 please avoid the fallout of this. And I just love to see their fear about the political consequences of Trump's stupidity and conspiracism. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, Fox News, as you know, is effectively the propaganda arm of the Republican Party. They have bent over backwards to accommodate Trump, to grade him on a curve, to sanitize and launder his dishonesty. And of course, what's hilarious about this is people are pointing out the lady in the middle, Rachel Campos Duffy, who I think is struggling from a cold. Her voice is really scratchy at the moment. Usually doesn't sound like that. She has been featuring in many videos here lately vis-a-vis Trump and Epstein, because she was the one who sat down with Trump a year ago and challenged him to release the Epstein files before the election, right? That was her commitment. Would you commit to releasing the Epstein files? So now she's desperate to try to facilitate Trump's pivot away from this. Like, oh, just make a clean break, quickly answer a couple of questions and let's move on. Don't release the Epstein files. It's amazing how these unprincipled losers will do a 180 for the sake of political expediency. Here's another clip of those MAGA Fox and Friends hosts talking to Shannon Bream of Fox News Sunday about the fallout of Trump's Epstein debacle.
I think it's an interesting topic, because I think, on the one hand, the president's right. I don't think people really care about Epstein, the man, right? They think he's kind of gross and they don't like him, and we'd all like to not think about him. On the other hand, I think for young people, what I'm hearing is that they feel like, from COVID on, the government has lied to them. They're sick of the lies. They just want transparency, and there was a lot of hope that this administration would absolutely, be the answer to that. So there's some disappointment there. I think for others, people like me, a mother, I'm just concerned about the child sexual part of this, right? If there was any chance that I understand our government has to do a lot of bad things out there to, I understand how, these things work in the intel agencies, but
What the hell does that mean? Like, even her other MAGA hosts are like, what are you talking about? You're losing it here. Even Shannon Bream is kind of like, where are you going with this, Rachel? Where are you going with this?
If it involves children, that's a big red line for a lot of people. It should be for everybody. And I think that's the part that makes people concerned. They want to know was our government in any way involved in this, and so, or other governments that we're working with, and so.
Yeah, they're floundering here. They're panicking in real time. How can we just use, as many words as possible to cover for Donald Trump, just like filibust. So here's a clip, and I believe this is of Rachel Campos Duffy. It was right under the Fox News graphics Twitter page, which has been tracking this stuff. So let's take a look at this clip.
Esto fue lo que yo le pregunté a usted este verano pasado sobre devolver la transparencia al gobierno.
See the closed captions there.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Sé que judicial.
Now, you may recall that that was the selectively edited version where Trump said, yeah, I would. And then immediately, well, maybe those less so. I mean, there's a lot of fake, phony stuff in that. You don't want to do a lot of damage. I guess I would. But I mean, again, those less so. So again, he hedged. He was obviously visibly nervous about releasing the Epstein files. And I think this is hilarious because, again, this is the same MAGA Fox host in question, Rachel Campos Duffy. She was the one who set Trump up for this in so many ways. I mean, obviously, he is by far the most morally culpable for his failure to deliver on a campaign promise, but she basically handed him the shovel to dig himself into this political grave. Again, as people are pointing out, Polling USA on Twitter, masterful gambit, Mr. President, because, of course, Twitter searches for Trump Epstein and Epstein files are surging, particularly Trump Epstein, as a consequence of what Trump said. I will also point out that Epstein has had like 1.4 million total tweets in the past 24 hours and counting. It has been actively trending. This story is not going away. This is terrible news for Donald Trump. Now, again, they're going to work overtime. Right-wing media is going to try to do its part to, again, sanitize and launder Trump. Mainstream media, unfortunately, has been a total disaster today with the Sunday morning interviews. When they are interviewing Republicans, they should be asking about this. Like, do you support the release of the Epstein files? What's your position on this? Unfortunately, they're inclined to grade Trump on a curve, too, so we're not seeing much by way of pushback, which is why it's vital, folks. Please understand this. Me, you, all of us, like commentators, audience members, elected Democrats, their surrogates in the media, all of us have to keep making this an issue and not simply assume that it will persist as an issue, because the American people have shown time and time again we can get used to anything and we are willing to sweep anything under the rug because of our short attention span. So if we want to extract political consequences of this, if we want to, drive a divide in the MAGA coalition, we have to keep at it and put effort in and help them do it themselves and not just assume that they will and that it will last. But yeah, these MAGA Fox hosts are panicking, one referring to it as a ticking time bomb. We'll see how Trump plays it, but so far he has not played it particularly well. And in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.